Check, 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 check. Is sound on? Uh-oh. Turn it off again. I have to catch up with mail again. I spent probably half an hour today. I got a meeting. I lost track of my mic. I just need to get a mic I can bring up here. This is why streaming is hard. It unpaired for some reason. No idea why. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Gotta have music in my ears. Yep. Yep. Oh, I love this song. Where are you, Miguel? Right on. Camera is behind the game and not in the circle. How about now? Yeah, game actually says that you should pedal. Also, I'm falling behind it again. No, the camera actually was hadn't been turned on because I had to repair the thing. Catch up to Miguel. I'm jumping right in apparently. This is all on my MacBook, yeah. I noticed the resolution is not as good because it's capturing the 1080p screen, and it's not as good for some reason. My resolution, in my videos, my VODs. Damn, okay. I got dropped, man. I just started. I don't have a computer monitor. I mean, I do, but it's not plugged in. This is a TV. It's a 1080p TV. I have a new one coming. I have a 4K TV coming. Cost me like a couple hundred. I like it with super duper big screen anyway. But yeah, this is a good use for an old TV. I think the resolution of the screen has something to do with the capture because this is capturing from, you know, this screen. Either that or I have to tweak OBS or something. My OBS's stuff is grainy. It's compared to other stuff, you know. You don't need a TV. You can do it on MacBook. Just put it right in front of your face. I just put it like right here. You can get to the keyboard and everything. Lots of people do that. Yeah, there's a lot of people that do that. VR would not work because it would be too sweaty. I thought about that. It's already sweaty with headphones on. I just can't keep up this morning. I don't have very much time, so I might as well push a little bit. Keep getting dropped because I get out of the draft. David, how's it going? Now I passed the dude. Oh yeah. I'm changing. I changed my ear pads a couple times actually on these. Million points on a frame. Nice. And you got the good one, right? You got one that like has been shown. He has a bot. It's pretty interesting. I forget the guy's name, but he was in here once. One late night I was writing. He came on in. He's in Australia, right? Not him, the other guy. Llama. Yeah. Oh wow. I haven't looked at the bikes in a year or so. Game speed, yeah. It's just a picture speed in the game. It doesn't change anything about your indoor bike at all. Indoor bike is always the same. Oh, is that what you mean? Ah, the music is banging. I'm playing the Bohemian Life You playlist. You can check my link at the top of the screen, top left. If you want to follow my Spotify, get your own music. Oh, I'm gonna run out of power. God, I started sweating pretty early today. It's good, I guess. Yoga was hard yesterday. Hard. We spent almost the entire time, the entire hour, in a plank or downward dog position of some kind. About half of it with a one arm only. We did two-legged up dogs, two-legged down dogs. You guys know what down dog is? We did down dog, but with one arm and the opposite leg. One leg. And you had to balance. Try it right now. It's hard. What's up, dog? Up dog is a yoga position. I did a little bit of biking yesterday before yoga. I was just talking about the yoga. I climb, yoga, and bike and paddleboard and dance when I get a chance. Yay. Oh yeah, bump me out into the draft, huh? Oh, my fan's off, that's why. This music is jamming. Weekend I'll clean some more and set up my camera so I can fly around and show you different views. It's more fun to watch. More fun for me too. Just staring at my ass the whole time. I'm doing the turtle Zwift. I'm caught up. I'm gonna do 5. I don't know when. I want to race 5, or at least do it with a group. You know, I just did the short ones and I caught up in a week because you just do a little bit every day, right? Usually like an hour a day. I know I'm new, but coming back to it, so I'm only doing an hour a day right now. Last year, I was working up to like on the weekend, I would do like 5-hour rides on the Zwift. Probably excessive. It's so good for you though. God, I can tell the difference. In like 4 days, I can tell the difference. Am I getting dropped again? You quit after 90 minutes? Yeah. Well, you probably had your. You can climb all day as long as you turn your trainer difficulty down. The hard part about climbing is it forces you to do a lower cadence. And you can't. If you ever watch like the pro climbers, they are spinning up that hill, sometimes at 30K. Insane. Hey, twinner, bike twinner. That's a bike twinner. That's because I've got the fastest bike you can ride on right now, an aero bike. You'll see other people with this exact combo. because it's. Oh, look at that! Look at that triathlon bike. See, look at his bike. The guy next to me, DT Swift into Dogma. Yeah, 3K for in zone 2. Huh? I don't know how fast. I don't even look at speed. Oh, 30K, 3 kilometers going upstairs, going straight up. Yeah. That's about right for a climb like that. A 10% grade. Yeah. That's probably good. Riding with this group is good because it keeps you in zone 2 the whole time without doing a stupid training. I don't like those training things. They're not as fun. I really pick up some energy from being uh in the crowd, you know? It works. It tricks my brain. Hey Marcella. I mean, I've been streaming every day in the morning at least, cycling. Not much more. Just come out here to supper and talk to you guys. It's good suffering though. How do I pick group rides? Um, the group rides have an average FTP or watts per kilo, which is a better indicator. I should probably up my weight. I wonder if my Garmin is still synced. I used to have this is really cool. You can actually make it so that your Garmin syncs your weight. Like if you weigh yourself regularly, it'll synchronize your weight with Zwift. Watts per kilo is what's your FTP, how many watts, like right now 104 watts, 121 per kilogram. So my watts per kilo is like 1.7, but that's based on my weight in a trainer. I think it's 80.3, and right now I'm 82. So the Misha. Yeah, Misha and I have been friends for a while, at least online. uh, uh, uh. Misha and I have similar life goals, apparently. At least I did before I gave it up. Autographs. I don't have time to do tech streams anymore. I wish I did. I would love to do it. It's just not realistic. There's a lot of things in life you have to choose and prioritize. One of them should be your health. I don't. I also don't like tech. That's true. I've gotten old enough where I don't like it anymore. You know? What about you talking about in life? I work for a big ass company that you would know by name. Please don't name it. I've decided not to tell you where I work. I said it once and I changed my mind back. Because I'm streaming to YouTube and Facebook now. So I work for a high performance computing group and I'm learning Slurm right now, which I'm super excited about. I really am. I'm legitimately excited about it. My current task and it's high priority. It's like the number one priority for the entire HPC team, the larger group, is I am porting like a 50,000 line Perl code base, at least some parts of it, to call Slurm. So we have a homegrown system in Perl that got created in the 90s to submit to PBS, which is this batch processing. If you're not a techie, what it means is to do high performance computing and AI and all that. They submit these huge models, sometimes in the terabyte range. They submit these massive models to these $14,000 H100 GPUs. People hate Perl, but you got to know it. I do, to get the system modernized. So that's what I'm doing. I'm modernizing the system. I'm, and it pays really good, like really good. So, but so there's this old system created by NASA to take on these huge workloads and run them over time. They call them jobs. Batch processing is where you submit something, it run, and then it ends and it spits out something. It's been a part of computing since mainframe. Oh, he has he has the socks. I almost get the socks. Level 50, I'm going to get the sprint socks, and then I'm going to be in trouble because they only go up if you sprint. So yeah. So there's basically two ways to use a computer as an enterprise, besides, laptops and stuff. There's something microservices, which are, there's like a server sitting there, like a web server, and you ask it for something, and it gives it to you relatively quickly and goes away. And then you have this work that you want really high powerful computers to do, and sometimes distribute across multiple computers. And you want it to work on that thing as long as you can, like the SETI project to find extraterrestrial life. You want it to split up the work and pull it back. In fact, the SETI project is one massive batch job. So AI requires these models to be crunched, all this data. So they submit these massive models to, to these batch systems. And right now, the leading batch system in the world for cloud native, which means it can run on Kubernetes, essentially. I mean, that's a stretch, but that's usually what it means. The biggest one is Slurm. SL, it's called the Standard Linux Unified something. I don't remember what it was about. If anything, I should do a thing on that. Because all this AI stuff is not really conducive to Kubernetes, which was built to provide services, microservices primarily. It's been forced to do all kinds of other things. It's just not particularly good at it. NVIDIA has made it good at it. In fact, NVIDIA bought Slurm. It's an open source project, but they bought it. It's an NVIDIA world, man. NVIDIA is like the only company that matters right now. Simple Linux Unified something, yeah. I may have to. So our batch processing system that got set up in the 90s was using the one from NASA, and now it's getting switched over, modernized to the biggest Slurm. But there's like all of these things that depend on the old system, legacy stuff. And so that stuff has to be. So what we're doing is we're injecting logic code that makes a decision about what system to send it to. And then all of the basic operations of this system are the same. So you submit a job, get the stats on a job, info. In the 90s, we would have in the 90s, we'd have a use case diagram and there'd be an oval that would say submit, and you'd have an actor with a stick figure connected to it, right? So I'm actually writing the doc to discover the existing architecture. Oh, there's, I kid you not, there's the most amazing thing. When systems have been around for a long time, they get insane. Okay, so let me trace the path for. Okay, so to submit a job right now through a web API that my buddy and I made, there was no web API interface to the entire system. There was no web interface to the entire system until my buddy and I made it. And we wrote an API layer in Go that, I kid you not, had to make an SSH connection to an existing system that people were already using to submit, on which we could not put a web server or another web API. So, and I actually wrote that in all of that part of it. I wrote an entire API transfer protocol built on top of SSH and optimized for multiple concurrent connections to connect from the web server to like make sure it had a pool of connections open all the time. And then those SSH connections were being kept alive and renewed every once in a while and secure, because SSH is not secure, believe it or not. It'll shell expand anything you pass to a shell, to an SSH command. So if you're taking data from a tainted source, that's a Perl term, which means from the web or somebody submitting it, you can't trust it. So that includes like command line arguments that SSH are going to run on a remote system as root, which is what this does. And so we submit these commands. So basically that means the API can pretend like it's a user, and it can SSH and run the same commands as the user. But those commands themselves have been weirdly expanded. So the application calls the API endpoint to submit a job. That web API endpoint running in Go uses one of its SSH connections to one of the transfer hosts. It runs an agent, also written in Go, over there, that then accesses, calls indirectly, executes the command line command that a user would use. And then that, I kid you not, makes a URL, basically curl, an HTTP request to a web server that is 35 years old, that has a .cgi script on it in Perl, that actually then calls another command on the system that also then finally calls the PBS command on the system. So we start on the web, we call out to the server SSHs into a command line. It runs a command on the command line that then requires to run a web job that goes out to the web, runs another HTTP request on this other legacy ancient web server. It looks like it too. And then that goes back to the command line and runs the command to submit the job. So we're getting rid of all of those hops. Eventually. We're not probably going to take us a year, where it's going to go to the web API, and then it's going to talk directly to the Slurm API, because PBS doesn't have an API worth using. That's why we're moving. So Slurm has a really high functional, well-defined web interface, a REST interface. And so then we call to the REST interface directly. So then it's like application, web API endpoint on a server, Slurm directly through its API, which then directly calls the submission to Slurm running on that box. And we bypass all of those hops. And by the way, they tried to not use my SSH thing. At first they said, we can't do this, we have to have SSH. They tried to pull it out and do something else, and it didn't work. And I told them it wouldn't work. And this is 3 years ago. And they spent like a month trying to make this other system work. And they said, no, we're going to do it Rob's way. Can you have your SSH transport done like as soon as possible. So I had to like bust that out in like a week. I had to make my own YAML parser that walks the YAML tree. That I should put in open source. I should put that in open source. Oh boy. Were you here for that? When I was like, they're like complaining the whole time? All right, it's 8:50. I gotta go. I have to have a meeting in 10 minutes. Well, with my sweat up, go to my stand-up. I have stand-ups again. Our team went from not having stand-ups to having stand-ups. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you guys more later. I have a really hard hot yoga tonight with a different teacher. So tonight is not a climbing day though. So I'll go ahead and stop. Where's my menu? There we go. End ride. I gotta go fast. I gotta go fast because I got a meeting. I have to I'm a big. I have to be on the meeting. It's not like you could just sit there. So give me a sec. I want to get good at balancing my time without stressing out, you know, but not there yet. This is the only one I care about. It's got all my stats. Continue. Productive. Yay. All right. We'll see you guys. I'm actually going to leave this running. I'm going to let that keep running. And I'm going to say goodbye once I find my way to say goodbye. I don't, what is it? What is like the main, you guys want to be scared for a second? Here, let me see if I can do this. No, that won't work. All right. Well, see you later.